Hi everyone, and a very happy full moon in Leo. So today is a special full moon because it's the first time in a very long time that all of the planets are stationed direct. So there's been a lot of review and reflection, but now is a time of action, and it's a really good day to write down your goals and ambitions and intentions, no matter how grand, because Leo really supports that kind of energy. Leo is also corresponding to the solar plexus chakra, and that I would say is a masculine chakra. It is all about goals, ambitions, drive, and also how you present your persona to the outside world. Obviously, you want this chakra to be balanced. It can be underactive and it can be overactive, and we want to create balance here. So I would say the fire element is very, very strong with the solar plexus chakra, and it actually rules your digestion and how your metabolism works. So you want this chakra to be healthy. If it's underactive, you would lack confidence or ambition or the ability to focus and also boundaries. If it's overactive, you could be very egotistical to the point of perhaps narcissism. You could be controlling, always trying to control situations. You could be presenting yourself to the world in a way that might be arrogant or just overly confident, where it would be detrimental to your soul's purpose. And then if it's balanced, that's knowing your soul's purpose. It's knowing your identity. It's optimistic and it's forward motion. It's the ability to present yourself in a really, really positive, optimistic light where you can now move things, you can change things. It's the element of fire, so you can create movement very easily. You're focused and you've got strong boundaries. So that's what you want for the solar plexus chakra. And you want that to be balanced also with the heart chakra, which I consider the divine feminine chakra. And both need to be balanced in order to create a healthy persona. So I'd just like to speak a little bit about the ego. It's a pretty complex topic. It's very interesting because I've heard some spiritual teachers saying that we need to integrate the ego. I kind of understand what they're saying in a way, that if you try to vanquish the ego, maybe there's like some reasons why you don't want to do that completely and you want to integrate it instead of pushing it away. I guess the ego tries to protect you. It builds walls and boundaries, but it can be too strong, and that's where it becomes your enemy. I would say that the ego is not your friend, and all of the true spiritual teachings that I know, in Buddhism especially, Hinduism, even in Christianity, I would say that vanquishing the ego is the most important thing that you could do on the spiritual path. And by that I mean letting down your boundaries. The ego is the enemy of honesty. It's the enemy of intimacy. It's not giving you the ability to see things clearly. It's creating a societal construct of your persona that is often judgmental and very controlling. It seeks to control all situations. It wants to present you in a certain light. And for that, you need to be extremely guarded and boundaried, and often that's going to create a dishonesty within you, a lack of self-reflection. So I think, vanquishing the ego is extremely important on the spiritual path. And by that I mean having the ability to look at things from other people's perspectives, to drop down your guard, and to just be honest and to drop into the heart center. It actually reminds me of a conversation I had with someone recently that I hadn't spoken to for a very long time. And they reached out to me, and I guess what could have been a really healing conversation about why we had fallen out of touch turned into a sort of a blame game, where it was like the the object for the other person was maybe in order to gain some more control. But at the end of the day, it was a very judgmental kind of conversation. And I backed down, not really because I thought that my point of view was invalid, but more to really keep the peace. I don't really have a problem with apologizing, even if it's perhaps goes against my self-belief in that situation. So I backed down and I changed the subject and the conversation went on. But when I put the phone down, it was interesting because I didn't realize that all of these emotions are going to come up in me, where I felt hard done by, I felt offended, I felt angry, and it was quite consuming, where I was like, I've apologized and the other person hasn't, and it felt very unfair. And me being a Libra, I don't really do well when I feel that there's an injustice. And so I spent maybe a day feeling very hurt. I mean, anger is always the mask for hurt, isn't it? And very offended, which really masks your self-importance. And it's there where I found the lesson, where me feeling hurt, where me feeling offended by someone else's actions was really a symptom of my ego in the situation. You know, my self-importance, wanting to be treated a certain way, my need for control, wanting the conversation to go my way. And it was very, very interesting and a lot more subtle, I think. You know, the moment that you feel offended, that's your self-importance talking. And instead of looking at the situation clearly and asking, what can I learn from this? You become judgmental. And you're like, how could I have been treated like that? How could that person have disrespected me? But instead, I think we must just always remember to drop into the heart and ask ourselves in every situation, what can I learn from this? And that was the message that came through for me. I was judging someone based on their, what I perceived to be egotistical behavior, whereas I was in need of looking at my egotistical behavior in the situation, which just caused more blame, more judgment. And it was only after that message came through that I really opened my heart and I could see the situation perhaps more clearly and just send some kind of love into that situation, or let's say non-judgments and healing. And to also realize that, you know, maybe that person, it took a lot for them to get in touch. And then that was in itself them trying to reach out, and it probably hurt their ego a lot to have to even have that conversation. So that was where they were at. That's how much they could give in that situation. And then, you know, that's where you feel the healing. It's very interesting because the minute that you hold onto any negative emotions, it's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. That's all I can say. Any kind of strong negative emotions are going to hurt you. They're going to hurt you, no one else. And no one else is responsible for your reactions. You are responsible for your reactions. So you can't blame the other person for hurting you. You are feeling hurt, and that's your decision. So when you come from a place of always seeking to learn and seeking to evolve, and you drop that ego away, then that's where growth happens. That's where understanding happens. And then you can come back into your truth and your soul and realize that everything that happens to us is there to teach us. Sometimes they're really hard lessons. Sometimes they're painful. But at the end of the day, there is always a way through where you can learn. You know, every situation you can take the right road really, or the wrong road. And in that, I mean, you could become more negative or you could become more evolved. Okay, so that's really my message today. Even if you feel that there's injustice or disrespect or you've been wronged in some way, you have to look at it. Why am I triggered? And then it's all about your response to those triggers, how you handle yourself, and if you can find a lesson there. So that's all I wanted to say today. Keep opening into the heart, keep in the love, keep in the light. Thank you.